2nd in Surrey. As I said, this is the first in the webinar series, and today's webinar is resumes and cover letters, and we're really happy that you're here. During the webinar, please do keep your cameras off and your mics on mute, and this webinar will be recorded. So for those of you that might have to leave a little bit early, it will be recorded and uploaded to our YouTube channel. We're hoping that you don't leave early though, because we do have gift cards as prizes, which we will be giving out a little bit later in October. But for you to qualify, you do need to attend the webinar in for its full session. So hopefully you're here and you're going to stick around till the end in order to win that, potentially win that gift card. If you do have questions throughout the webinar, please do put them in the chat. And if you can preface them with a capital Q, that would be really great. And we'll get to those questions at the end of today's webinar. Of course, there is also an option for you at the end of the webinar to go ahead and turn your mics on rather, and ask your question that way. It's completely up to you, whatever you prefer. Without further ado, though, I am going to introduce you to your career development coach here at KPU, Louis Leung, who's going to be hosting this webinar today. So I'm going to pass that over to Louis, and please do enjoy, everyone.
Thank you very much, Chantal. So yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us in today's webinar. Yes, please, once you enter, please keep your mics off. And our Career Services Officer, Tatiani, would be muting you once you enter the chat. Thank you. And yeah, so starting off with the first of our Get Ready, Get Hired webinar series for 2025 is resume and cover letter tips to help you get that interview. So as Chantal has stated, my name is Louis, Career Development Coach at KPU. I may have met some of you in our advising appointments before, and I want to thank you in advance for joining us. If this is our first time seeing each other, nice to meet you and welcome. And yes, and yeah, we have our wonderful support here, Tatiani and Chantal, who would be monitoring the chat and muting your mics and the video and turning out your video during the presentation. And yeah, so in this presentation, we will go through 10 different tips in helping you write a strong resume, and another 5 to help your cover letter stand out. We hope it would help you with getting started in writing your documents, or if you already have one, make improvements so that it leaves a stronger impression on your application. And of course, stay around until the end of the webinar as we have prize draws. And when you registered for the webinars, you are entered into the draw and have a chance to win bookstore gift cards. And the draw will be carried out on Tuesday, October the 14th. And just to carry out a territorial acknowledgement, we at Kwantlen Polytechnic University respectfully acknowledge that we live, work, and study in a region that overlaps with the unceded, traditional, and ancestral First Nations territories of the Musqueam, Katzie, Semiahmoo, Tsawwassen, Kaikait, and Coquitlam, and with the lands of the Kwantlen First Nation, which gifted its name to this university. In the cause of reconciliation, we recognize our commitment to address and reduce ongoing systemic colonialism, oppression, and racism that Indigenous peoples continue to experience. And for many of you, you may already know this through your experiences as a student. You may have used our services at the Career Development Center and are familiar with what we do. And for those who don't, that's okay. Just to let you know, this webinar is hosted by the Career Development Center, which includes a variety of services such as career service, employment readiness, volunteer services, cooperative education, and establishing employer relations. You can follow us on major social media platforms where we provide updates on upcoming events hosted at KPU. Of course, we also do group drop-ins, career advising appointments, and if you have any career-related questions, feel free to email us 24/7. A representative of ours would be happy to answer your inquiries in time. And of course, feel free to scan our QR code to learn more about our Career Development Center's services and how we can further support you. And just a friendly reminder, we have a couple other upcoming webinars this month to help prepare you for the Get Ready, Get Hired Fair. There's Navigating, the career fairs on Monday, September 22nd, and interviews on Monday, September 29th, both online from 12 to 1 p.m. We also have a Career Insights webinar happening Wednesday, the 24th, from 12 to 1:30 p.m., exploring the nonprofit sector. And don't forget the days of our big event, Get Ready, Get Hired Job and Volunteer Fair. That's happening on October 1st from 10 to 2 p.m. in the Richmond Atrium, and October 2nd in the Surrey Spruce Atrium from 10 to 2 p.m. on both days. Looking forward to seeing all of you there. So for today's webinar, our objective is to provide you with tips in enhancing your current resume and cover letter. In turn, it could increase your chances of getting an interview. So by the time we reach the end of this webinar, you will understand how to write stronger and more effective resumes, how to customize them based on the employer's needs, and learn the significance of cover letters and how to write a customized one. So this is today's agenda, where we go through 10 different tips in helping you write a strong resume, which includes using accomplishment statements with the XYZ formula, headings based on importance, and the visual appeal of the document. And of course, in cover letters, we'll go through 5 different tips to help it stand out, including researching companies, using active voice, of course, the visual appeal, that also plays a strong role. And lastly, there will be a Q&A. If you have any inquiries regarding this subject, this is a great chance to ask us at the end of the presentation. And I also want to inform everyone that when it comes to writing resumes and cover letters, there's no one surefire way of writing them that guarantees success. And this webinar is based on sources from industry professionals and that are widely used by other sectors. So let's start off with an icebreaker question that I'd like to ask our audience members. So for our audience, please type in the chat and answer the following question. How many of you have sent out a resume and or cover letter and never heard back from the employer? Just to keep it simple, you can just type in Y for yes and N for no. I'll give you guys a bit of time to type in the response. Chantel, if you can just moderate the chat and let me know what the response is overall, that would be great. Thank you.
You bet, Louis. The Ys are coming in fast and furious. I think I saw an N. I think I did, which was shocking because I'm pretty sure we have all pretty much experienced that for sure, sending out a resume and a cover letter, and it just goes into a complete abyss. Look at that. I got another N in here. So far I saw 2 N's, but a whole lot of Ys. Whole lot of Ys. Maybe the N's have never actually haven't applied to a job yet, which could very likely be the case for sure. But yeah, lots and lots of Ys. Lots of Ys in there.
Good to know. Well, then thank you very much, Chantel. And thank you for our audience for responding so promptly towards the question. And without further ado, we will move on ahead with the presentation. So starting off with the tip number 1 for resumes, this is where we focus on identifying key skills and employers' requirements for the job. So before writing a customized resume, it's important to know what the employer is asking for in the ideal candidate based on the job description. So how should you start doing this? Of course, it's important to start reviewing the posting, skimming and scanning for the information. Look over the duties that's listed in the posting itself. And of course, take your time when you're reviewing it and understand what it is asking for from you as the potential candidate. Usually the core duties from the job posting are at the topmost part of the document. Then this provides clarity for both the employer and the job applicant about the core functions and expectations of the role. Then you can move on to other areas of the posting, such as skills, hard and soft skills, education and certificates. Perhaps there is something regarding food safe and CPR certifications. What about relatable volunteer and or work experience? What did they point out, etc. After looking into that information, ask yourself, do you have those qualifications? This is where you do some self-reflection. And when it comes to looking at yourself during the self-reflection, honesty does play an important role. And for your qualifications, it's important when writing them out, because if you put something in your resume that you don't actually have, and the interviewers ask you during the interview, you could feel stuck. And when building your resume and cover letter, overall, it's essential to fully understand what each of your qualifications do within the context of the role. And here is a sample job description of a posting that I found online. Let's just review the duties and the qualifications in general. So looking at the duties, it does involve reviewing, I would say, certain processes of the CSR role. This also involves some warehouse duties and driver responsibilities, and of course, identifying, researching, and resolving customer complaints, which doesn't play a role working as a part of the CSR position, and being able to, of course, communicate with your colleagues to provide extra support for your clients' accounts. And moving on to the qualifications for the CSR position, you need to have experience, of course, in export logistics and knowledge of international documentation and trade requirements. Looking into further down, you need to have some computer skills, knowing how to use multi-screens and a mouse, and previous customer contact experience is a plus, and Microsoft Office, etc. On top of that, there's also government purchasing experience that's preferred. Keep in mind the word preferred is considered ideal, but not mandatory for skills and qualifications based on the job posting. So moving on to tip number 2, the number of pages. So when it comes to the number of pages in the resume, people would generally say 1 to 2 pages. But for students just stepping into the labor force, you might not have much to add under multiple headings at this time, which is okay. Therefore, sticking to 1 page is enough. When you continue building skills, credentials, and work experience, you could add more and exceed the 1-page limit. Maybe even exceed the 2 pages. And talk about the other areas where you think about work experience that may focus on work experience that may date with maybe back to 15 to 20 years. You can either remove them or consider minimizing them. And you can save it for perhaps an original master copy for reference if you need that. And consider perhaps whether or not you want to include it in your resume application. So in many other parts of the world, such as Europe and Australia, just to give you an FYI, they do have something called a CV or a curriculum vitae, which could go up to 5 pages because it's very thorough than the resume and cover letter. And in other parts of the world, such as in India, they can go up to 3 pages. But in Canada and the US, we usually stick to 1 to 2 pages. Tip number 3 is where you connect with what the employer needs through your qualifications. So if you do have the qualifications after doing the self-reflection, which the employer is looking for, you can begin linking or matching them using a chart and use it to help you build the connection between your qualifications and what the employer wants in the job position. This chart that I'm asking you to make is just a visual reference, which makes it easier for you to organize your thoughts on paper. And there are 3 sections I suggest that you add on to for your chart to help you get started. The first one would be employer's requirements from the job posting itself. The second, put in your skills and your competencies. This could range from, of course, skills, education, work experience, etc. And then your related experience, meaning that you provide an example where you used said skill and competency. So here is just an example of a chart you can use as a reference to help you gather your thoughts in a visual manner. And take a look at the first column where I stated employer's needs from the job posting. Say if the posting mentioned you have to train volunteers. Well, obviously the skill and competency focuses on training itself. And if you have this related experience under your belt, you could put that down in the third column where you trained new cashiers at a bookstore or other employees for inventory management, etc. And for the second one, if the job posting asks you to analyze market conditions within the global market, then obviously the skill is focused on analysis. And then refer back to your own work history using this particular skill, where you, for example, analyzed market trends to forecast months of regarding the price of gold and silver during a school academic report. And yes, moving to number 4, formatting. Now, when it comes to formatting, it's important to choose which format works for you. Of course, there are different types, but I'm sticking to the ones that would help your document stand out. First is the chronological resume, where you've arranged the volunteer and work experience, extracurricular experience, relevant projects in reverse chronological order. What does that mean? Well, it means that we start off with the most recent experience and work backwards. Many employers prefer this type of format, and it is useful when you have a clear career goal established and want to continue building a stronger foundation within it. The next one is the combination format, which combines elements of both the chronological and functional resumes. This showcases both the work experience and the relevant skills, and it is useful for those that have a strong skill set already and a solid work history. This format would provide a balanced view of both the skills and the experience. And of course, it's always important that when you're writing a format, when you're focusing on one particular format, it's important to write targeted documents, customized ones for your applications. And that, of course, there are other types of resumes I could talk about, other formats, but these ones are what employers would prefer to see when they look into their candidate pool. Number 5 is the overall visual impact. So when it comes to the visual impact tip, look into your name and contact information for starters. Of course, check your size and font. So questions you should ask would be, do you have your contact information clearly stated? What is your phone number, email, city and province, LinkedIn URL clearly placed at the top of the document? Is there consistency for your headings, tenses, punctuation, and bolding? Are they all there? When it comes to font size and selection, is it appropriate? So nowadays, it's many people use styles such as Calibri, Arial, and Verdana. Around size 10 to 12 for the body text is okay. And when it comes to the order of your sections in your resume based on importance, is that done properly? Of course, check the number of pages, as I have mentioned. Is the layout clean? Is it uncluttered and easy to read? Can I find the information from one side to from one end to the other? And it's when you're actually looking for visual appeal, try to find an easy to read layout that reads from left to right, top down. And moving to tip number 6 is the headings section. Of course, when we talk about headings, we talk about experience, references, volunteer experience, etc., in the order of importance. So when it comes to some examples, such as work experience, do you have direct and relevant work experience? Is that indicated at the top, as it would be more noticed that way? That's something that you need to consider. And when you add in work experience, indicate each section with an action verb, which of course we will cover in a later tip in this presentation. Of course, education. It could be focused on certifications, diplomas, licenses and degrees, etc. Yeah, is that clearly placed onto your resume? Skills. Of course, a combination of hard and soft skills could be put in this section. And if you have a software skills section that aligns with the job posting, you could consider putting that in too. And of course, you can put in other sections such as volunteer, if it's relevant to the job you're applying for, relevant projects, and languages that could be placed in its separate section, or it could go into the skills section too. And if you don't have many sections to fill at this time, you could consider adding hobbies and interests. So here is a template of a resume layout that I find easy to read for the eyes. I'd like to go through a couple sections here just to give you an idea about what I think is very appealing to this type of layout. Notice that at the top is your name. That's clearly placed at the top of the document. City and province. Of course, you don't need to put in your full address. City and province is good enough. And you can definitely leave your contact information, such as your phone number and your email address. Of course, if you have a LinkedIn URL, you can consider putting that there too. And moving on to the next section, you see how the headings, such as summary of qualifications and professional experience, are clearly stated out. And it's placed onto the left-hand side of the document where where the legibility is there. And then you can start reading out the bullet points that are listed in each section. And notice how the size of the font in the body text are smaller, but of course it's clear enough for people to continue reading. And moving on to professional experience, you see the position title, the company name, city and province clearly stated, along with the years of when you started until where you end. And afterwards, you can mention the main duties that you had carried out to explain what you had done, and so on and so forth. So moving to tip number 7, once you submit your application, it's the recruiters, not the hiring managers who would be the first persons to review your resume and cover letter. So when you're writing your document, be careful when using special language in your industry, such as jargon, acronyms, etc. Have them clearly stated out with words in full. So what I mean is, of course, on top of that, using action verbs. So using action verbs along with simple and plain language for your resume would help your document stand out. And for action verbs, there are many categories that could be found online. And you can use them specifically to describe what you had done in your previous workplaces. So areas like research, leadership, quantitative, and teaching, etc., can be very helpful to enhance your document when talking about specific duties, which I'll give you an example in the next slide. So, of course, here in this slide, these are just some of the categories I had mentioned. Notice how I separated it into 3 different types. First, quantitative, leadership, and communication. So under quantitative, if you, for example, work in the field of accounting or finance, you can use verbs such as analyze to talk about how you identified inconsistencies, gaps from the data you researched, and presented them to your team. This is something that is very specific when you're talking about that particular skill set. Under the leadership category, you could mention in your document how you assigned tasks or responsibilities to your teammates to ensure that a project runs smoothly, and etc. These are just examples that I could provide for you, but there are many others that you can use to describe your work experience to its fullest. So when writing your duties in your work experience section, write them out in the form of accomplishment statements. And This shows that you had provided a quantitative impact or result for the company. And of course, I mentioned the XYZ formula earlier, and we'll be going through in a little bit more detail in further slides, where this is where you incorporate this formula into them, if possible, for your responsibilities. This can be done in the form of percentages, ratios, numbers, money, or etc. And accomplishment statements through XYZ is a more refined way of writing out your work responsibilities, which leaves a quantitative impact for the hiring manager or recruiter to know. And it shows that how you helped the company and left it with positive results. So how does the XYZ formula work? Well, of course, many recruiters explain it like this. It is what you have accomplished, X, measured by Y, by doing Z. Sure, I'll give you an example. When you say a simple statement in your resume, such as from an English instructor's type resume, you could say taught English to Japanese students as part of one of your duties, if you were a teacher. But it doesn't add any quantitative value when you hear the duty taught English to Japanese students. It doesn't give more information. By using the XYZ formula, you could add a stronger and more effective response that leads to a positive net value for the company you work for. So for instance, you could say, instead of saying taught English to Japanese students, why don't you try developed and taught English lessons to 200 plus Japanese students by creating engaging activities to improve memory retention. It's a little lengthy, but I'll repeat that one more time. Developed and taught English lessons to 200 plus Japanese students by creating engaging activities to improve memory retention. See how that sounds better? This is something that you could consider writing when you're writing out your duties. So tip number 9, proofreading. So after you've done with your resume, you are not done yet, but you're close. It's important to proofread your documents for errors and, of course, have someone look over them when you can. Of course, try to find a professional like your career coaches at KPU and to have them look it over and see if there are any gaps that they could identify for you. And of course, tip number 10, can AI help with your documents? Sure, they can, if used properly. Nowadays, people turn to AI, artificial intelligence, to help them with their homework and generate answers that they could easily copy and paste. But in general, it is not the right thing to do, especially when it comes to ethics. Now, for our audience members, this also applies to job applications. When writing a resume and or cover letter, it's important to be honest and genuine in your qualifications. In other words, stay human with it. And what that means is, when it means to stay human, is to sound human. Showcase your unique voice, and show that you have done your research rather than just relying on AI to do the heavy lifting. Of course, AI can help with improving grammar, clarity, and readability, but it should not be the primary author of your document. So just to recap with everything that we've gone through on resumes, yes, here it's important, number 1, to identify key skills and requirements for the job. Of course, looking into the number of pages for your document, keeping it within 1 to 2 pages, or even exceeding 2 pages if you have lots of experience, skills, and credentials, etc. Number 3 is to connect with what the employer needs through your qualifications, such as the chart I had demonstrated with you in 3 columns. Number 4, formatting your resume. Are you using chronological or a functional resume? And is it targeted towards the job description? What about the visual impact? Is the name, contact information, legibility all clearly stated? What about your headings? Are they in the order of importance, such as based on experience, volunteer experience, relevant projects, etc.? The use of action verbs. Are they used based on the category in the field of work that you have been familiar with? And the use of XYZ formula to quantify your accomplishment statements. And use of AI. Are you just using it to help you proofread it or other purposes? Make sure to actually check that in advance. And of course, have a fresh pair of eyes to look over your document when you can, such as your career development coaches. So you can, of course, once you have a resume completed, you can send it to us at resumereview@kpu.ca. And there's the QR code that you can scan to help you get started. And of course, a career development coach, as I stated, would be able to look it over and provide you with customized feedback to help your document stand out. And of course, here's just a sample template, a sample resume that has clear headings done in a legible format. Notice how the name is clearly stated out at the top and easily located along with the person's contact information. And of course, action verbs are appropriately used in the employment history where you started off with made, contributed, learned, all in past tense as the person no longer works there. Of course, moving back to the profile section, you provide a clear statement about what your qualifications are for the job that you're trying to apply for, and look at how, and just you can see how the format is done in a chronological order, starting from the most recent to the least. And of course, the skills are clearly stated out in the document as well. So I'd like to move on to a second icebreaker question for our audience. Yeah, feel free to type in the chat for this too. So the next question here is, what do you think is the most challenging part of writing your cover letter? So I have 4 options here. You could choose in terms of your response. Just feel free to type it in the chat. A, knowing what to include. B, how to word it. C, where to start. Or all of the above. Chantel, if you can, could you check to see if what the responses are within the audience members? Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, Louis. Yes, I'm seeing a lot of D's. So I think the next part of your webinar today will be very, very useful for those folks. I am seeing some A's. Knowing what to include on the cover letter is definitely top of mind for a lot of people, but I would say the majority of the answers coming in is definitely D, all of the above.
Sounds good. Yeah, thank you very much, and Chantal, and thank you for our audience members. So just let's get started with the cover letter section of our presentation. So in terms of cover letters, I'm going to go through 5 different tips to help you get started. So tip number 1, avoid starting the letter with "to whom it may concern." It's important to actually include the hiring manager's name whenever possible. You can find this information by looking at the organization's website, or find their name on LinkedIn, or even phoning the company if you are persistent in trying to add that person's name in your cover letter. And of course, if the name of the person whom you are sending the letter to is not available, where you cannot find it, you could start saying "Dear Hiring Committee" or "Dear Hiring Manager," which are both generally acceptable options. So here is a sample section that I decided to put together, using just my name, and you can see that I have put down the address, contact information of the hiring person for the company that I would like to work for. See how everything is clearly indicated, such as the position title, name of the company, address, postal code, and contact information. And yeah, that's something that you could clearly state out at the top of your cover letter when you're addressing it. So moving on to tips number 2 and 3, being specific and connect, tip number 2, where you provide proof of your, where you provide proof and specific examples of your experience, activities that allow you to develop key skills which the employer is looking for. So when you talk about proof and specific examples, it's talking about how your qualifications, such as your skills and work experience, apply towards the job. And of course, also explain what the positive impact that you had given to your previous employers and what did you gain out of that experience. Of course, the more developed an in-demand skill is, the better. And of course, yes, it's good to actually take that extra step when you're being specific and connecting, to avoid being too general or not target to the employer's needs. And tip number 3 is to use active voice to communicate with clarity and confidence. When you're using active voice, you use generally I to state what you had done in your previous workplaces. And active voice delivers the message more effectively compared to passive voice. Of course, try not to overuse it when you're writing your cover letter. And of course, number 4, just like the resume, the visual impact. Ensure that your document is prepared with the same fonts, type, and size. I tend to actually use that kind of format where I try to be consistent with both the resume and the cover letter, using the same fonts and styles. And when you're using more than one style in your cover letter or resume, it could be very hard on the eyes when someone is reading it. So I strongly suggest sticking to one style so that's easier to read. And of course, number 5 is having no spelling and grammatical errors. So proofreading is something that's something that you can consider doing. And of course, having a fresh pair of eyes to help you look into your document is also good. You can have a career development coach review it for you. And if you need extra support to supplement, you can use Microsoft Word's review tool to check for other areas and look at its suggestions. And of course, at the end, read it to yourself. Read the cover letter to yourself to see if it sounds all right. Does it sound too wordy, or does it lack depth? That's something that you could check with your friend or your coach, career development coach, for further support. So let's put all the things together for the cover letter and see how things turn out from here, shall we? And here is a cover letter template that I want to turn your attention to. And notice how at the top you have your first and last name clearly stated out at the top, along with the person's contact information on the next line. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen some of my clients in the past putting their contact information in multiple lines. I believe that it's just as effective if you put them all in one line to save yourself some space, so you can add the hiring manager's contact information should you be able to find it. And notice that there's the date put down in the cover letter afterwards, along with the employer's information, name, contact information, etc. And then moving on to RE, as in your referencing the job application number that you are trying to apply for, and then moving with dear. And of course, dear should be used with Mr. or Miss if pronouns are known. If you don't know the person's full name, as I mentioned, it's okay to use recruiter, human resources, or hiring manager. And then moving on after that information, you can start with the first opening paragraph, where you talk about your eagerness in applying for the position of interest. What your research has led you to applying for their position. Include a brief description of what your qualifications are that make you the best candidate. And of course, there's the second paragraph, which is the body paragraph, where you talk about your qualifications in various areas, such as, of course, skills, work experience, academic credentials, etc. And lastly, in the closing paragraph, which is straightforward, you reiterate your interest in working with them and how you can help the company grow, and looking forward to the opportunity for an interview. And keep in mind, this cover letter template displays 3 paragraphs, but it could go up to 5 with 3 body paragraphs where you focus on different qualifications that are very relevant to the job of interest that you're applying for. So a friendly reminder, cover letters are important for an application. Unless the company states otherwise, submit one. It's best to submit one with your customized resume for best results. And according to resumegenius.com, 94% of hiring managers read most cover letters, even at companies where they're not required. And let's see, yes, moving on to other ones such as JobScan. Yes, of course, you are 1.9 times more likely to land an interview with a customized cover letter. Sorry, regarding Resume Genius, I meant to say, yes, cover letters are influential when deciding who to interview. And Arcadia University from 2023 states that even if submitting a cover letter is optional, 77% of recruiters do give preference to candidates who sent a cover letter on top of their resume. So giving you a quick summary on cover letter tips. Just to recap what we had covered, avoid starting the letter with "to whom it may concern." It's important to, of course, be specific and connect with what the job is asking for, where you provide examples, as I mentioned, to clearly state out what you had done to have left a positive impact for your company. And number 3, using active voice to communicate with clarity, where you use "I" for the most part in your document. And for 4 is the visual impact, very similar to your resume. Ensure that they are prepared with the same font, type, and size. And of course, don't forget to proofread. Check for spelling and grammatical errors if there are any. And don't forget to scan our QR code to turn to our CDC's career development coaches for more customized advice, which we can definitely offer for all students and alumni. And of course, don't forget to scan our resume and cover letter toolkit to get more guidance in writing those documents. And feel free to set up an appointment with your coaches at the CDC if you always need more support. Never hurts to get more insight from professionals who are who are more than happy to help you down the road, to help you succeed and explore your potential. And just a friendly reminder, there is no one-size-fits-all method for resumes and cover letters. Of course, some people love a certain type while others have their own ideas. Just continue to work on until you get to where you want to go. And yes, that's pretty much the end of our presentation. And to let you guys know of the prizes, a friendly reminder, we do have them that will be drawn in October. And all draws would be on Tuesday, October the 14th, where there's the KPU bookstore gift card, 4 of them for the webinars at $20 each, and the KPU bookstore gift card at $50, tuition waivers, and the gift basket, which seems very enticing indeed. And that's pretty much the end of our presentation. And if you have managed to make it through the end, I do thank you all from the bottom of my heart. And if you have questions at this time, we'd be happy to answer them for you.
All right. Thank you so much, Louis. That was really great, very informative. And it does look like we might have had 2 people that I guess had to leave a little bit early, but for the most part, it looks like most people stuck around. So they want that gift card, but they also want the information that you were giving, of course. So we do have a couple of questions that I'm seeing in the chat. So the first question that I'm seeing goes back to the length of the resume. So being a student, after having some work experience, can they have 2 pages? So if they have work experience, but they're a student right now, can they have more than the 1 page that you recommend for a student that doesn't have work experience, I guess?
Yeah, I would say yes. Please do add in the experience. As I mentioned earlier, it's if you haven't written customized resumes at this time for that particular student, I suggest creating a master copy where you include all the information regarding your work history, the skills that you've developed, and the academic credentials that you've acquired over time. Continue on updating them until you feel more confident in starting to write customized documents. So whenever you see a job that you want to apply for, you can start to extract different aspects of your work history and all the other categories to create a more customized document down the road. And I personally tell students throughout the student appointments to do to use a similar strategy, just so that you can prepare yourself for the jobs that you want to apply for and build up your foundational skills. So yes, exceeding more than 1 page or even two is fine. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as that info is relevant. That's great. Great tip about having that kind of master resume that they pull from. That really does encourage everyone to keep things customized depending on what each employer is looking for. Okay, we have a few more questions in the chat here. So this one I do believe you mentioned in the cover letter component of the webinar. How many paragraphs to include in the cover letter? 3, or can it include more than 3? And I know you did quickly address this as well.
Yes, 3 is fine. Of course, I encourage students and like yourself and alumni, if you have other qualifications that you believe would help your application stand out, write another body paragraph. And of course, body paragraphs, the way that I use them would focus on a different qualification each time. So let's say if the job description mentions that I need to have strong communication skills, be it virtually or in person, I could highlight that in one body paragraph alone, where it emphasized how I have developed it and what results I have gained out of the skill, and as I mentioned, the impact that I had left for my employers, coworkers, and such. Doing this repetitively with other paragraphs can really help improve your chances of securing an interview, from which I believe is very effective for a lot of job applicants from what I've seen. So yes, yeah, writing up to 5 paragraphs is okay, if you can.
All right. Yeah, if need be. 3 could work. 3 could be fine. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Okay, so we do have a few questions in regards to a cover letter. And I guess this is for those applications that are emailed directly to the recruiters. I think nowadays, for the most part, a lot of them are online, online, maybe through an ATS. But the question is, I'm just going to kind of combine the few because a few people asked this. So when they're sending their resume and cover letter via email, is it okay to put the cover letter into the body of the email, or should that be attached as a PDF or as an additional attachment along with the resume?
Good question. I would say when it comes to attaching the cover letter, do attach it as a Word document. That's usually a good way to go. And putting it in I would say the email might not immediately have the hiring manager's attention, because they might be filtering many, I would say, applicants' emails, and putting that large body of text might not immediately capture the hiring manager's attention. They would usually open, of course, the documents first to see what it is that what your qualifications are. So I think it would be best to leave that cover letter in as an attachment, as a Word attachment or PDF in general.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes the answer is in the actual job posting itself. They might be very clear. If in the rare case they do ask you to email the application in, which I think is great, they might indicate how they want you to do that. So they might be very specific and they might say, please attach your resume and cover letter in one document in a PDF or right. So pay attention for sure what the job posting says.
Mhm.
Okay, next question we have from Armandeep, and this is, how do I follow up properly on a job application?
Mhm. So, assuming that you have already sent out your resume and cover letter, you could follow up within, I would say, a couple of days later, yeah, just to check up and you can do it over email or over the phone, and just clearly state out what position you have applied for, and just and check with the person to see if they have started reviewing applications, because there may still be accepting more of these applications from other people. So it does take time for the hiring department to look it over. So I suggest be patient when you have submitted your documents, as yeah, the hiring manager may still be looking into it. And if you actually sent your application before the deadline, maybe wait a couple of days until the deadline has been reached, and even a couple more days for the hiring department to look it over. So that's when you can start reaching out. But yeah, and Chantel, is there anything else you want to supplement on that?
Not at all. I think that's great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Waiting till the closing date and then maybe a couple days after that. I think that's great.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, okay, so here we have from Danica. Danica, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Do you have any advice for students who have never written a cover letter before and have very minimal work experience?
Come to our CDC. I would say. Um, I would definitely recommend, yes, students who haven't written a cover letter, yes, please come to our Career Development Center and yes, set up an appointment with us over Advisor Connect. We're more than happy to help you get started. Of course, we can pass you on the resume and cover letter toolkit, but we really love to engage with students at our campus just to teach you guys the strategies and helping you write it. And yeah, that's I would say is a great first step to get started. Yeah. What do you think, Chantal?
I agree. I agree. Yeah, engage with us. And we do have the resume and cover letter toolkit in the resource library on Career Connection that you can use as well to draft your cover letter. All right. So next up we have from Yuri. And I did skip over a couple, but it's because it was the pasting the cover letter in the body of the email.
Mhm.
So Yuri asks, if I have previous work experience that's not related to the work I'm applying for, should I include it on the resume? If the work experience is very short term, like a few months, should it be excluded from the resume? So I guess that's a two-parter. So the first part is, if I have previous work experience that is not related to the work I'm applying for, should I include it on the resume?
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, good question. And usually there are many people who do have some work experience that may not have direct relevance to the job that they are applying for. Totally understandable. I would say talk to us first, like talk to us career development coaches first, and sit down and explain to us what specific duties and responsibilities that you have done regarding that position. There may be some relevance towards that um, position that you have done, and we can try and revise the way the responsibilities are done from that job to build a connection with the job that you're applying for. Of course, I'm not saying that all in job postings that you have done may have direct relevance to the job that you want to apply for, but it doesn't hurt for us to take a look at it and see if there is a potential connection to draw in that possible vital piece of information that you may have some experience in that particular field. Yeah, that's what I would suggest doing. Yeah, but what do you think, Chantal? Do you have anything to
Yeah,
add on that?
no, I think that That makes sense. There's typically we can often find things that overlap, skills that
Mhm.
overlap. So it's not about telling them what you did in your previous job, but how you did it. And so sometimes if we kind of switch our focus to how we did our previous job, that we can find those overlapping skills. Okay, the
Exactly.
second part of Yuri's question was if the work experience is very short term, like a few months, should it be excluded from the resume?
Mm, I would say uh, still put it in. Yeah, at least it shows that the employer that you're still building up potentially new skills and work experience, and just yeah, letting them know that you are stepping into the labor market to begin building up your own professional career. I would say yes, please do put it in.
Right. So I am cognizant of the time. It's 12:56 here. We have a few more questions. We'll get to it. We'll stick around until just a couple minutes after 1 o'clock, but certainly we understand if people need to leave. Okay, so we have a question here from Shruti. The question is it difficult to get a job or even a volunteer opportunity when you have very little work experience?
Good question. I would say, as we probably know, that the labor market can feel difficult at times and fluctuating from time to time. If you work with building up your resume and cover letter, I believe that eventually that position would open up for you. And with the right, I would say the right information, such as the sections and the qualifications in your resume and mentioned in your cover letter, I think that would greatly improve your chances of securing an interview and maybe and probably even a job too. I cannot state how important it is for students and my former clients that writing customized resumes and cover letters instead of generic ones would greatly improve your chances of securing interviews and maybe even a job too. So yeah.
Okay, great. I feel like this one was kind of answered in the previous one where we said there's always something we can find from our previous jobs
Mhm.
that are relevant to the job that we're now applying for. So this question from Arjun was, I want to change the position within an industry. How can I customize accordingly? So I feel like it was probably, I'm
Mhm.
going to skip over that one, but hopefully you found your answer in that previous answer just due to time. But yeah, so it's not about explaining or describing what your job responsibilities were, but rather how you did that job.
Mhm.
Um, okay, so this one you also answered in your presentation, but it's how do we find out the name of the person that we want to address our cover letter to?
Mhm.
Should we call the company to determine whether to address the cover letter to the recruiter or the hiring manager,
Mhm.
and that kind of stuff? Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Let's
No, no, go
move on.
ahead. Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you. So yeah, just like I mentioned in the presentation, feel free to give a call to the company and ask who would be overseeing the hiring process of that particular position. You can also check up on LinkedIn for more information. And of course, if you don't know the name of the person, it's okay. Just you can still go with the examples I put, such as dear hiring committee, hiring manager, etc.
All right. Great. Okay, and then we have um okay, Manpreet asked if somebody has different industry experience for years but now wants to change careers into a different industry, for example, from retail to healthcare, should one include that experience on a resume or not, even if the experience does not match the new job description?
Yes, good question. And when it comes to changing fields of work, especially from retail and healthcare, uh, we can look at your work experience from an objective lens. Uh, when it comes to retail, there may be some transferable aspects regarding customer care that we can highlight into a new resume, a new customized resume if you want to apply for positions in healthcare. Working in retail does involve, of course, working with people, clients, understanding their inquiries, and being empathetic, etc. Those transferable aspects could easily be put onto your healthcare customized resume, and yeah, and moving forward, if you begin gaining more experience in healthcare, that could easily be highlighted as it has more direct experience. But even in retail, there's so much overlap that you could consider adding on to it just to help your portfolio stand out. So yes.
Right. Okay, we have a great question from, I'm sorry if I mispronounced it, Guian. Gian, is it okay to include past work experience from our home country?
I would say why not? Because the thing is, even if you have overseas work experience, it is worth mentioning as it lets the hiring manager know that you may have uh, some understanding of working in that particular industry. Putting that into your resume could work. And of course, when you mention that in your resume, mention the country of where you acquired this experience, and just to let the hiring manager know, and yeah, explain what relevant experience that you have gained and skills as well in your in your application that is relevant to the job posting, just to help build the connection and the alignment.
Okay, great. Thank you. I see Gita has a hand up. Go ahead, Gita.
Hi, everyone. My camera is not doing so well today, so it's not working. But I did want to just say, just along the lines of that question, um, for all the students who are on this call, we do have a session called Career Insights, Passion to Profession, Exploring the Nonprofit Sector. That's happening September 24th. And I wanted to point that out because one of the panelists is actually from Discover Surrey. So it's nonprofit, but it's travel and tourism. And she actually had international experience that she used to leverage in securing this role. So she might be someone who would be very interesting to listen to. And I just wanted to highlight, sorry, I just want to take a couple minutes to say we haven't updated the website about the webinar, but the people that will be there, or the organizations, are Discover Surrey, Umbrella Society, YWCA is actually one of our alumni that will be coming. So they'll probably give some information to answer some of the questions that came up earlier about how to move into a different industry. So maybe you want to go try nonprofit along with different career paths. They'll also probably give you some hints on what you could put in your job, in your cover letters and your resumes that could highlight those or the skill sets they're looking for. So I would highly recommend looking at that webinar and registering. The speakers are going to be really interesting. There's a variety of different types of panelists. So just wanted to share that. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Gita. Gita is our employer relations strategist here at CDC, and she works really, really hard to connect students at KPU with employers. So thank you so much, Gita. Okay, next up we have, okay, this is a good question from Chi, I believe. If you spoke to the employer directly for the job and after some convincing, I like that, after some convincing, they say to submit a resume on email, would making a cover letter be necessary? If yes, what should be included in it to avoid repeating what was said in person?
Oh, interesting question, I would say. I would say you can recap in this to start off with your cover letter. You could recap that you what you had talked about in regards to your meeting with the employer, and of course, I'm not sure what the overall conversation is going to be that you had with the said employer, but I would say just to remind the hiring manager uh, that you want to reiterate your interest towards the position and your qualifications, and pretty much following the same formula as you had done as you would write for a regular cover letter, while of course mentioning that you had a good experience talking with them, talking with the person in person. But I would say the overall formula of writing the cover letter should be maintained moving forward. Yeah. How about you, Chantal? Do you have anything to add on that?
I concur. Good stuff. Yeah. Um, Okay, so next up, and this is actually, no, it's the second last question. So if people are okay to stick around, this is the second last question. So this one is from Rashida too. So what company address should be included in the heading? So I think they mean at the top of the resume, because the heading is, of course, our own name and phone number and email. But what company address should be included on the cover letter, especially with the health authority that has various sites and locations?
Good question. I would say to play it safe, uh, call call the I would say the company and know which branch office that the position is opening from, just to be on the safe side. And yeah, it might take some time for you to get the right answer, because when you're reaching such as the health authority, they have, as you may know, they have so many branches, and clarify with them where this position is opening, and then write down the full address. I would say on paper first before you put it on your cover letter, just to be on the safe side. Yeah, that's the approach I would go by. What about you, Chantal? Do you think
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
the
you
right
want
way?
to know where you're going to be working, even if you're open to different locations. You might want to. I would think though it would be indicated in the job posting the location that that particular role is for, but it might have various sites listed. And if it just lists various sites, you can just use Lower Mainland or wherever the actual head office is of any health authority. So you could just use that as your general guide. Okay, before we get to Gurkeert, who has the final question, I see Rashida too does have their hand up. So that's the same person that posted the question. So you have the floor. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is a follow-up for that question. Like they always say different location and site, but specifically they give you 3 or 4 places like Langley, Surrey, or so which address will you use if in case they give you those kind of locations, like 4 locations,
Mm,
they didn't specify.
yeah. So when it comes to that, if they have several locations, that could imply that you could choose which location you would prefer working into. So if they say, if of course, depending on where you are living, where you are residing, if you live in Surrey, then you could choose the Surrey that location. Just put down perhaps Surrey, BC. And of course, if you do know the actual address of the Surrey location, for example, then you can put that down. And yeah, that would be the way I would go by. Yeah. What about you, Chantal? Do you think that's okay?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. If there's various locations, you could just put various locations. And because it's various locations, sometimes in the job posting, they'll ask you to please indicate which location you have or in order of preference of location. So do make sure that you're following the instructions that they write in the job posting as well. But I don't think it's crucial to have an exact location. We know that the health authorities operate different locations. So I think for the most part, as long as you have, Fraser Health Authority up there, it might be a specific house within Fraser Health. So indicate that house. And then, of course, you would have the direct address. But for the most part, I would just pay attention to what the posting says. Is it very clear on which locations and doesn't want you to indicate which location your preference is? And if you have no preference, make sure to let them know, because that shows that you're able to move around and flexible that way. But yeah, so hopefully that answered your question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, listen, we have one more question, and that comes to us from Gurkeert. And the question is, if you are underqualified, oh, we have some hands up. If you're underqualified, should you still try and apply?
Uh, I would say yes. Of course, even if you are underqualified, you may have some qualifications that do stand out. And keep this in mind when hiring managers post job postings. Apologies. When they post job postings, many of the I would say the requirements that they posted are a wish list. Yeah. And they usually don't expect all the job applicants who apply for the position to have 100% of all the skills, credentials, and work experience under their belt. if that were the case, they may be considered overqualified. So even if you're underqualified, yes, please give it a shot and apply nonetheless.
Okay, great. Thank you. No, Rashida too, you still have your hand up. Did you have a question? And Xiao, I saw that you had your hand up, but you've since taken it down. Oh, it's back up. We're going back and forth. Yeah, go ahead and ask your question, Xiao.
Yeah, thank you. I wasn't sure if the previous person still have question, but I guess I'll chime in at this time. So I've heard from some people about how the job market specifically right now is very tough, and that recruiters mostly want applications that basically just check off every listed a qualification on the job posting. So it's kind of related to the question that was just being asked. It makes us kind of hesitant in terms from a student standpoint. And close to graduation, in terms of where we're job search, should we still put in the effort and then go try and even for job posting where we don't check off every qualification list, or should we kind of just still give it a try. But yeah, that's kind of just what I've heard from some people who are actually already working in the industry, and who work in recruitment. And so it's kind of like basically what I'm trying to add is
No, it's very clear,
should we
Xiao.
just look for yeah.
Yeah.
Should we just look for a job posting that we meet like all of the qualifications to apply for?
Okay, thank you. Louis?
Yeah, I would say it's. I agree that the job market can be very tough at times, as I mentioned. And yes, even if you do not have all the qualifications listed for the job posting, please still give it a shot, Xiao. And because if you never tried applying for it, that would just result in 0%. But if you do apply, then of course your chances would be more than that. So I would still say give it a shot and write customized resumes and cover letters to highlight your strongest features. That's usually the case to go. Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely give it a shot. But you know what? It does touch on something really important. In a competitive job market, sometimes even a killer resume just might not necessarily be enough. And that's why we can't encourage networking anymore. Like we are constantly suggesting that students connect and network with within the industry that they're interested in, so that when the job posting does come up, you perhaps have a contact that you can connect with about it. Listen, everyone, we're going to have to leave it there. We thank you all very much for your time today. If we did not get around to your questions, please do feel free to make an appointment with a career coach. Tatiani has been kind enough to post the toolkit, the resume and cover letter toolkit in there. And please do make sure that you sign up for our next webinars. The next one coming up is on Monday, September 22nd from 12 to 1. And that's all about navigating the Get Ready, Get Hired job and volunteer fair. So thank you very much, everybody. We appreciate your time here today. And please do go and enjoy lunch. Louis, I'll leave you with any closing words.
Yeah, I think you covered pretty much most of it. Chantel, thank you very much. I really appreciate everyone for coming here today to join us for this wonderful webinar in resumes and cover letters. Hope you have gained more insight in writing these documents. And as Chantel stated, feel free to book an appointment with us through Advisor Connect. I'm more than happy to meet you at our center, and more than happy enough to assist you to improve your I would say your documents as well. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah.